Hello to all you beautiful souls. I hope you're having a beautiful and blessed day. Today, I just wanted to randomly talk about something. This is my hospital experience. Here it goes. About two years ago, I became very ill. I started throwing up all of my bodily liquids. I threw it off as just a normal stomach bug or something of sorts. And I refused to go to the hospital and the doctor because my ego was very strong at the moment and I did not like hospitals. I felt like my body would naturally heal itself, which is true to an extent, but not in that case. I was having very bad constipation. I was throwing up all my bodily liquids. I couldn't eat. I had absolutely virtually no appetite. Eating was just non-existent. I'd have a couple of bites of applesauce and I'd be like, ugh, now that's gross. And I literally went on like this for about a week. I should have went to the hospital or the doctor or seen somebody for my condition, but I didn't. Let's jump forward, and I was at my father's house. I was still sick. I was laying on his bed and I went to take a nap. And as I was getting up, I felt this very sharp pain in my lower right abdomen. All of these colors started flooding into my head. I got extremely lightheaded. I got very nauseated. And my intuition kind of kicked in as small as it was. That was kind of like, oh shit, something's not good. I told my father. He got me some water. Did my best to stay hydrated. And as this was happening, I waited for my mother to come home. Though I should have just called her and said, look, something is wrong. So I went to the hospital. They did a couple of tests and everything. I told them my symptoms. And basically, all that they knew was that there was air coming out of my colon. Like there was just air in my stomach. And they basically said, we're going to have to put your son into emergency surgery to even figure out what was wrong. Let me get this out there. This whole time, I knew as soon as I knew I was going into surgery, I wasn't scared. As a matter of fact, it popped into my head. I almost kind of knew. I was like, I'm going to have surgery. Something just happened. So they gave me morphine and stuff. And I literally was singing Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer as I left the room. Probably it was very funny. My mom was upset. She was crying and everything. Of course, of course. It was kind of rough on them. I had awoken out of surgery, and they did a laparoscopic surgery. And what had happened was my appendix had ruptured. I had developed appendicitis somehow, and I didn't get it treated. And my appendix became so inflamed it ruptured inside of my stomach. So, if anybody doesn't know, your appendix is the exact same organ that holds all of your bodily toxins. Yeah, I'll repeat that. All of your bodily toxins. Now, when I got up out of my dad's bed, that is what ruptured. And I sat there and I let all of these toxins circulate through my bloodstream for hours. before I had finally entered the hospital room and into surgery. And they laparoscopically sucked up all the toxins that they possibly could. I had a little drain tube and stuff. I had a catheter. I had like a nose tube that went all the way up here and like down my throat into my stomach. It was kind of crazy. So as I was am very beautiful, as soon as I woke up from my first surgery, I'm still hazy. I'm like, where am I? What kind of happened? I'm so very drugged up. And I see someone sitting on the couch next to me or across the room from me. And it was my older brother. I hadn't seen my older brother in a minute. And it was amazing to see him to be the first one there sitting with me. Because as I was younger, he ran away. And he was very on and off and distant out of my life. And it really helped to see that he was there and that he cared. He actually left work. He said, "Fuck it, I gotta go," and he left. He just straight left, and he came straight to me. Came straight to me, and I remember I said, "Toby, is that you?" He goes, "I'm here, brother. I'm here." And I passed back out. I wake up, and everything is kind of going steady for the first few days. I'm very weak. I can't eat any solid foods whatsoever. I'm basically living off water and nutrients through the IV bags. A few days later, as I was going through, I was able to start standing, walking around a little bit. I legitimately felt like I was kind of getting better, but the abscess and the infection started spreading again in my body because there was just so much of it that they couldn't get it all out. And it put me into a state of almost death. My fever was almost to 105 degrees. I had to get um, Tylenol through my rectum. I had to have the room turned down to like 60 degrees in order to drop my blood temperature and to literally knock myself out in a sense. And it was bad. And they scheduled another surgery. I think it was at like 4 or like 2 p.m. or something. And I was ready for it. I was all down for it. I'm like, okay, another surgery. Here we go. Once again. So they prepared me for the surgery. They put me on a gurney. They brought me downstairs. I drank this stuff. They're like, all right, relax. Count back to 10. 1, 2, 3. Knocked, knocked me the fuck out. And I come back, and I will never ever forget this. I woke up in the ICU, the intensive care unit, and I had 25 staples down my abdomen. I had three, not only one, but three of these abdominal drain tubes now. It was right here, here, and here with a big freaking bunch of staples. I had another catheter after I'd just gotten that out. I was like, oh no. I had another nose plug after they had just taken the other one out. I was like, oh no. It was okay though. And yeah, I was so weak. I was so physically damaged. My whole being was just like, oh. But through all of this, I wasn't scared. I wasn't worried or anything. It was very strange. I felt very guarded, very protected. I just had this intuitive knowing that I would walk out of there. And that went on for a couple days, they slowly started taking the stuff out. I slowly was able to start ingesting more solid, like not solid, but liquid foods such as like Jello and chicken broth and stuff like that. And I spent Christmas there. Actually, I was in the ICU on Christmas, and what I'm doing here is I'm actually grabbing this hat for memories. I got this in the hospital. I'm gonna wear it. And it was, and even though people are like, oh, that must have sucked. Actually, that was the most beautiful Christmas that I had ever had, because when you're celebrating that and you're alive for it, you become full of so much appreciation of life. You see how many people are really there that have your back and that are there supporting you. And even the staff, I became very well acquainted with the staff. You can imagine I was in there for a total of 13 days, ICU and just normal rooms. They became very acquainted with me, and they actually came in and started singing to me. They were singing Christmas carols. They were blowing bubbles. A man came in and he let me had a service dog. It was a beautiful golden retriever. I got to pet it. And those little things meant the absolute world to me at that moment. People are like, "Oh, those are so little." But it's the little things you truly appreciate when you've almost lost your life. Like that's all it took to literally break me into tears. I was just so thankful to be here. Eventually, they started taking all that stuff out, and I was released from the ICU, and I was put into the exact same room that I had left previously. So like I was in the first room for like 4 5 days, and then not even that, like 3 4 days, and then I went to the ICU, and then I stayed, and then I went back to that exact same room, which was still happened to be open. And then that's where I stayed until I was able to go home. Now, here's the good part of the story. The synchronicity. This is the craziness. Through the clocks, I was constantly seeing like 1111, 111, 222, 333, 444, 555, 666, 777, you name it. Every single numerological pattern under the sun I had seen and witnessed. That was just the clocks. My room number was 222. If you don't know what that means, please go Google it. I left room number 222 to enter the ICU room number 6. 2 plus 2 plus 2 is what? Look at that. And then afterwards, 6 is also my life number. Like numerological wise, my name is the number 6. And then I was placed back inside of room 222 3 days later. That's crazy. That is like major protection. That's like even if I wanted to die, I couldn't have died. I wouldn't have died. Angel and spirit guides be like, nah, you going nowhere today. And this whole experience is really what opened me up to my abilities of clairvoyance and my connection to the spiritual and angelic realms. and realized my connection with numerology was through this experience. So it was actually a very, very beautiful experience. And walking into your house finally after that is like, wow, this place doesn't even look the same. I'm actually home. Oh my god, I can actually lay on my couch and rest. I actually have my family here with me at all times. It was so beautiful. And I got home and I will never forget that I started Googling these numbers or whatever. Actually, no, it wasn't even then. It was when I was going for my appointments and everything to really check up on my incision and everything. Every time we would come home, like a Toby Mac song would play or something, and the time would be 4:44. Every single time. It would never fail. It would never fail. 444 every fucking time. Every time. And then that's when I started looking into it, and I'll never forget it. I looked at this number, and I got this euphoria. Like my whole body, like literally just was electricity inside, and I was like, like everything just clicked. And I wasn't even religious before this, and it all just clicked. I'm still not religious, but it all just clicked. And you're like, oh my god, that's why I didn't die. That explains all the numbers. That explains everything. And yeah, I got home. I had to learn how to rest, to really rest myself. I needed to learn how to kind of do some very, very small walking exercises just to start walking a little bit. I had to learn how to eat all over again. My stomach, I could only imagine, was like this damn small. I had to literally learn how to eat again. I was afraid to eat anything heavy, like breads. Like, I was so afraid of eating bread. And yeah, and I'm telling you, like, later down the path, like a few weeks in, it really puts your toll on you. Like, you really start to come into realization of what has happened, and it physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually traumatizes you. Like, I became traumatized to a certain extent. Like, I was beyond empathetic and sensitive to, like, even the tiniest, like, if I felt the tiniest feeling of like misunderstanding from like my mother or my father or something, it literally made me want to just break down and cry. Like cry, like, and all I could really say is, like, do you have any idea what I just went through? And I say that because I didn't even realize. I basically stayed so fucking strong for so long that eventually I just crumbled and I broke. And I needed to be strong then, absolutely. But at the same time, you also need to break. You need to break down sometimes. It was beautiful. It really was. It was a beautiful experience. I don't regret any of it. If I could go back to the past, I wouldn't change any of it. And this is why my favorite saying of all time is, what does not kill you will always make you stronger. And that you never know how strong you are physically, mentally, and emotionally and spiritually until you have no other options, and you will find your true strength. When I'm having a bad day and I feel like disconfident and I feel like I'm lacking like internal strength, I look back to that and I say, if you can get through that, what can possibly stop you? What can possibly stop me from, like, what can possibly be worse than that? I'm not saying it was bad. It's just like, If you can get through that, Tori, you can get through anything else. Peace and love. Namaste. Thank you all for watching. Hope you're having a beautiful and blessed day. Namaste.